शाम होने से नताशा भी ले पाएंगे बोट में।
ठीक
मैं उनसे भी बोल देता हूँ। फिर ऐसे आज गए थे ना सलीमनिया तक 5 बजे, ऐसे जाके भी लेके आ सकते हो। तब तक तो तुम एक्स्ट्रा वो दो QR कोड्स भी कर लेना।
है। हाँ, QR कोड तो सारे हैं मेरे पास।
हाँ,
उसका डेटा है, मतलब QR कोड सारे हैं,
फिर
सारे
सुबह जाके फिर शाम को जाके इतना क्यों, साथ में तो दो लेके आ सकते हैं।
हाँ, ठीक।
Today nobody has joined class,
Oh,
like 2 people only.
they were also bored maybe by us.
Yeah, I mean, I got bored, so I wouldn't say anything. Hello all. Hi and good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's tutorial session on urban services planning. So, today we will be discussing Module 3, which was discussed in week 3. So, I hope my presentation is visible and I'm audible to everybody.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. So, I think it's a small group today compared to previous days. So, I guess there wouldn't be a network issue. So, you can all keep your videos on if you don't mind. And let's make this more interactive. So, if you can answer the questions when we're discussing each question, it would be good. You can put them in the chat box or speak it out. I would prefer you speak it out, but if something is wrong, then you can even put it in the chat box. Because this week's it's a very easy module that we went through, which has a lot of there's a lot of theory in it, a lot of rules and planning principles and preparation, statutory requirements and all that. So it's very theoretical. There's no numerical at all involved in this week's assignment. So let's make it more interactive, or else it might get very dry. Right. So with that, let's get started. Yeah, let's get started. So problem 1, which of the following is not a goal of national urban sanitation policy? A, awareness generation and behavior change. B, fecal sludge management. C, open defecation free cities. And D, integrated city-wide sanitation. So anybody wants to take this question up and answer? Firstly, what is national urban sanitation policy? Uh, I'm audible, right? Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah, such response helps me to know that I'm there with you all. Yeah, so coming back to the question, so we learned about different policies in our overall lectures when we discussed. So we learned about Swachh Bharat Mission, National Urban Sanitation Policy, then other urban development policies like Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewal Policy. So we have learned about different things. So in this, the National Urban Sanitation Policy mainly talks about bringing out a complete behavioral change in people where all regions are sanitized and by mainly by avoiding open defecation. So to create an open defecation free region, the National Urban Sanitation Policy came up. So it's not just about yeah. So to bring in this change, mainly what is required is to bring awareness among people uh, to instill a behavioral change in people so that such even when such facilities are provided people would be using them. So it's mainly a behavioral change which came up. So going to the options, let's see option A, awareness generation and behavior change. Do you think that's associated with National Urban Sanitation Policy?
Yes.
Yes, very good. It is associated. So as saying, it's about a behavioral change in bringing. So that is there. So option A is associated. Second one, fecal sludge management. What is fecal sludge? Hello. Yeah. So exactly. So it's about human base. So again, yes. So correct. So that does not come under the urban sanitation policy. We're mainly talking about keeping what do you say like an open defecation free region. We're not talking about fecal sludge in the urban sanitation policy. So this one is the wrong statement over here. So then the option C again, open defecation free cities, that's there. And then comes integrated city-wide sanitation. Yes, that's also important. So the answer to this question, where which of the following is not a goal of urban sanitation policy, is this fecal sludge management. So our option B becomes the answer because this is not a goal of urban sanitation policy. Any doubt in this question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll proceed on to the next question. So second question, MSWM in urban areas in India is guided by the different rules and manuals prepared by Dash government and is implemented as per the different strategies and policies decided by Dash government. So before we begin, MSWM is what we have been discussing throughout our module 3. So can somebody just tell me what is MSWM?
Municipal solid waste management.
Correct, correct. Yeah, correct. Municipal solid waste management. So that's what we are mainly talking about. So here, the roles of two different governments is what the question is mainly asking. Which government is responsible for preparing different rules and manuals, and which government is responsible for implementing them? That's what's asked. So, any guesses for this question?
Central and state.
Central and state. So, central government is responsible for preparing rules and manuals, and state government is responsible for implementing the strategies, right? Yeah, very good. So that's the answer. So this we have discussed from our first module 1 onwards. We've been discussing how different responsibilities are split up into central government, state government, and urban local bodies. So in that we see that central government is always responsible for all the planning or the main overall uh, preparation of vision document or what needs to be done in terms of preparation of rules or statutory documents, everything, and the implementation and state government is in charge of implementation as well as some monitoring or specification of certain some rules, etc. When it comes to urban local bodies, they're the ones who actually get on the grassroots and then get things done. But urban local bodies again need to in this particular thing, the municipal solid waste management, the implementation strategies and policies are taken by the state government. Right. So that's the so you've answered it correctly. So option C, central and state, is the answer for this particular question. Any doubts in this question? Okay, thank you. Yes, I like that you're responding, that's very good. So let's go to the next question. Problem 3, match the following descriptions with the terms used in solid waste management and choose the correct set. So different types of waste management techniques are given on the right hand side, different terms, and their descriptions are given on the left hand side. So let's try to match them. So on the left, I'll read the descriptions first, which says recovery of materials that can replace virgin resources. Q, segregation fraction of waste is being, sorry, Q, segregated fraction of waste is being converted to fertilizer. R, helps in the production of heat, electricity, and fuel from dry rejects. S, residual or inert waste being sent to sanitary landfills. So let's go with the first one. P, which one is a recovery of materials that can replace virgin resources? Composting, waste disposal, waste recycling, or waste to energy? Waste recycling, yes, because you're recovering the material and then you're reusing it, correct. So it's waste recycling. So P is 3. Then segregated fraction of waste is being converted to a fertilizer, which is that?
composting.
Very good, yes, composting. Very good, yeah. So so by term itself it's understood. You're composting it and it becomes a compost. You're converting it into a fertilizer, or you're mainly using it for agriculture purposes. So yeah, so that's composting. Now helps in the production of heat, electricity, and fuel from dry. Very good, waste to energy.
Waste to energy.
Yeah, because so these are all different forms of energy, electricity, heat, and fuel. So from dry rigids you're taking, so waste to energy. Now last one, residual or inert waste being sent to sanitary landfills. So that is,
Waste disposal.
yeah, that's the only thing which is there, waste disposal. Yeah, so disposal again, what mainly it means that you're using landfill as a means to naturally biodegrade these waste. So it's stored in certain landfills. So that's a waste disposal method. You're not using any other like composting or recycling or any other strategy over there, but you're just disposing there in the landfill for it to be naturally revived. Right. So that works out to which option? P3, Q, option B, is it? Yeah, P3, Q1, R4, yeah, R is 4, and yeah, so option B. Right. Any doubts in this question? Shall we proceed further? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so problem 4, discarded paint drums, pesticide cans, CFL bulbs, expired medicines, used batteries, etc., generated at household level are different forms of domestic dash waste. Hazardous waste. Any difference of opinion? Anybody else? Oh, chemical. Okay, okay. So that's interesting. So the answer is right. It's domestic hazardous waste only. So this is how it's categorized. But maybe the options which are given over here might trigger you to say that it's chemical, because only chemical things are probably given. But again, CFL bulb, yeah, some chemicals are involved, but it's hazardous waste only. Whatever, so you come all these harmful chemicals and other wiring materials, all these put together is considered as hazardous waste. It's domestic hazardous waste. Right. So, yeah, we can proceed on to the next question. There's nothing much to explain there. Problem 5. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So I was just gonna read the question. I thought you're asking some doubt. Yeah. So the problem is Dash is sorting and separating storage of solid waste into specific subcategories. So collection, treatment, cleaning, and segregation. Yes, someone's answered segregation already. Any difference of opinion? So that's a very simple question because it's sorting and separating. So there's, I think, by from the terms itself, it's very evident. So yeah, segregation is the answer for that. So yeah, so let's proceed on to the next question. Question 6. Which of the following fall under the duties of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources as an authority involved in SWM? P. Tariff for the power generated in waste to energy plants. Q. Subsidy or incentives for waste to energy plants. R. Facilitate infrastructure creation for waste to energy plants. And S. Compulsory purchase of power generated by distribution companies. Yes. So, any guesses? So let's go option by option. First one, okay, somebody says Q and R. First, yeah, so tariff for the power generated in waste to energy plants, that comes under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources. Is that true? Somebody has already said true. Uh, I- yeah, so that comes, yeah. Yeah, so that comes on. Yes, Shweta? Yes, yes, correct. Sorry, I think I'm facing a small time lag, so pardon me if I'm asking again. So I just got a notification saying that there's a small delay in my internet speed. So yeah, so that's right. So that's there. P is there, tariff and tariff for the power generated. That is set by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources. Now the second one, Q, subsidy or incentives for waste to energy plants. Yes. Yes. So is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy responsible for setting up subsidy? Oh, sorry, one sec. This is which of the following fall under the duty of Ministry of New and Renewable? Oh, okay. So it falls under the duty. Oh, sorry. So the previous one where which said tariff for power generated. So tariff is not set by this Ministry of New and Renewable. It's my, yeah, tariff is not set by them. Tariff needs to be set by a separate agencies. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so Ministry of Power, so Electricity Board is responsible to this Ministry of Power. So eventually it is set nationally by Ministry of Power. That's true. But it's not set by this new and renewable energy resources. So yeah, that's wrong. But subsidy or incentives, can the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy sources do this one subsidy? N- Ministry, okay. Does it? Okay, but Ministry of this one, New and Renewable Energy Resources have an authority in uh, providing subsidies or incentives. Maybe they have a communication with Ministry of Finance that needs to, I'll have to check that. Right. Okay. Right, right. Okay, okay. But this one for this particular like when it comes to waste to energy plants, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has a power in like in not maybe not overall deciding, but they have a say in the subsidy and incentives. So this structure, whether Ministry of Finance, what is the actual scenario that I will check and tell in the next class. But waste to energy plant subsidy is set by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Sources. So that's there. So this is the correct answer. But yeah, what is the power of Ministry of Finance? Yeah, I will confirm that in next class. Maybe there's a split. I didn't check into that in detail. Now, R facilitate infrastructure creation from waste to energy. That's correct. Yes. So because yeah, yeah. Now, S compulsory purchase of power generated by distribution companies. Again, you cannot make it compulsory, right? Compulsory of power. Yeah, yeah, generated. It's not compulsory. It's always voluntary. So this is a wrong statement. Again, it does not come under this ministry also. So the answer is Q and R. That is setting up subsidies and then facilitating infrastructure. So that is option A, Q and R. Right. Any doubts in this question? Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's proceed on to the next one. Match the duties with the central monitoring committee and choose the correct set. So yeah, so which of the committee is responsible for monitoring these duties is what is asked. So first one, Ministry of Urban Development. I'll read the duties so then we can easily match. Laboratories for testing compost quality, formulation of national policy and strategy, market development assistance for city compost. Yeah, so that's what we've been discussing. So all the central ministries or main are responsible for all the formulation of policy. So here, Ministry of Urban Development is responsible for formulation of national policy and strategy. Very good. Now Q, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Okay. Laboratory. Uh, Fine. What about the other one then? Ministry of Agriculture. Because those are a bit confusing. One is chemicals and fertilizers, another one is agriculture. So won't one fit in both then, or both has the city compost and testing compost? So someone's put the answer. I think B. Someone's put B for this. Is it for this question? Yeah. So B means it's P is 2 and Q is 3. Okay. Yeah, R is 1. Yes, that's the answer. So, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers are responsible for market development and assistance for city compost. Because see, this one is chemicals and fertilizers, so they are the ones who are responsible for all the what do you say? Yeah, so the market development or overall, it's mainly taken care of by the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. And when it comes to compost, which means it's mainly used for to test the compost quality before it's used for agriculture. So all these laboratory testing is done by Ministry of Agriculture. So this is the answer. So which means it's B, uh, P is 2, Q is 3, and yeah, R is 1. That's the answer. Any doubts in this question? Okay, let's proceed on to the next question. Which of the following is not a financing tool for MSWM? Property tax, conservancy tax, water tax, and excise duties. That's a very simple question. Excise duties, yeah. So that's there in the looking at the options itself, we can say that excise tax comes something separate, which is put on a property or on an element at, yeah, customs exactly at a later stage. But this one, property tax, conservation tax, and water tax are uh, for that region. So that can go into your solid waste management as a solid waste management financing tool. Right. So that is problem 8. So which the question asks which is not. So D is the correct answer for that. Let's go to the next question. Is it loaded? One sec, it's not loading. Uh, Sorry, there's some delay. Yeah. Dash is the use of non-biodegradable and non-recyclable solid waste having a calorific value exceeding 1500 ca K per calorie as raw material or as source of energy. So A, decentralization, B, segregation, C, co-processing, and D, cleaning. Yeah, so the answer to this is co-processing because we use both non-biodegradable, we use non-biodegradable and non-recyclable solving, which cannot be used for anything else. So this, we are using this in order to create energy. So you're processing energy out of this one. So yeah, the answer is co-processing. Let's discuss the other options also, which is decentralization. What is decentralization in terms of solid waste management? So we learned this. Yes, somebody's answering. No, okay. So we learned this term mainly. So there was a centralized solid waste management method and decentralized method. So in centralized, you have a central system where all the waste is. Uh-oh. Hey, what just happened? Am I back? Am I back? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, sorry. So today there's something wrong with my internet today. So yes, is it so slow? One sec. Let me just check which internet I'm connected to. 5G. Yeah. So I don't know why this is happening. Okay, just uh yeah, that's cool. So yeah, so we were in this page. Uh yeah. So yeah, I was talking about decentralization and centralization. So yeah, so decentralization is when you have different decentralized spaces for solid waste management, or as you have different places to collect and store your waste and then recycle it at a decentralized facility rather than using one single facility for an entire region. Then we have segregation. So segregation we learned in a previous question, we learned where we do the separation. And then co-processing is this one where you use so if you notice, these non-biodegradable and non-recyclable solid, they cannot be used for anything else because nothing can be done out of it, but you're using it in order to generate energy out of it. So that's co-processing. And yeah, cleaning, of course. So let's go to the next question. Problem 10. Sanitary land fillings facility is designed to prevent which of the following? So P, pollution of groundwater, surface water. Q, fugitive air dust, wind blown litter, bad odor, fire hazard. R, animal menace, bird menace, pests or rodents. And S, greenhouse gas emissions. That's a very simple question. What's it used for? Okay, so the answer, so let's says, okay, first one, pollution of groundwater, surface water. Yes, it is used for that. Yes, correct. Like chat box, someone's put something in the chat box. Yeah, A or B. So yeah, so you look at the options. These are the options eventually. Yeah, exactly. So for P, it is there. Q, fugitive air does win bad odor. So we know that when these waste get compost itself, or there's bad odor generated because of methane gas which is emitted, so that's again a greenhouse gas and that causes bad odor also. There can be fire hazards, so all this put together, so all of these, like for animal, if it's just lying out on the ground, you have animal menace and bird menace. So to avoid that, we do that. So A is the answer. So before that, like, let's just discuss what is a sanitary landfill. Like, why is it a sanitary landfill? What do we mean by sanitary landfilling? Okay, so basically it's a land which is, like, for instance, if we have a land, it might be dug out certain meters down, and all the so you'll have a small what do you say, to compost. So you have something dig out this way, and then you put all the waste uh, into into this land. So you're filling it out with all your solid waste, and then the top layer we cover it with normal sand. So you have a top layer which is normal sand, and this is kept like that for several years so that naturally this waste would uh, compost itself. So the properties of this such landfills are that it's usually separated from the living area so that all this bad odor or pollution is not there. Mainly for construction and dust material. Exactly, yeah. So construction or dust, all these materials basically we discussed, like something which cannot be recycled, which is not hazardous. So there are a lot of categories on what are the elements which will go into a landfill or waste disposal. You cannot put everything into this. Yes, construction and dust material is one very good example where it can be easily used as landfill. So this is usually separated from living areas, like it's not put right in the middle of the city. It's usually separated and isolated. Uh, yeah. So then, yep, that's it. Is there anything more to? Yeah. Any doubts in this? No. Okay, let's proceed on to the next question. Problem 11. Dash campaigns towards minimizing waste generation, improving segregation, decentralized treatment. So different. So this is something which we learned in our lectures also. Different aid organizations or different channels are responsible for different campaigns. So this is one. So which of these uh, communication method aim campaigns towards minimizing waste, improving segregation, and decentralized treatment? So we have IEC, Information Education Communication, EC, Education Communication, then Social, then IE, Information Education. So this is directly from the lecture. So yeah, somebody says A, yeah, correct. IEC, Information Education Communication. Yeah, right. So this is the channel that campaigns towards this. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. So let's go to the next question. Clustering of ULBs for grouping of different SWM functions so that resources could be shared, leading to reduced cost and increased scale of economy. Okay, so first you have defined what clustering is. Clustering is, this is, it should have been is grouping of ULBs. Yeah, now the second part, that's a question. Clustering is based on which of the following? P, distance between cities, per capita waste generation, R, waste generated by cities, and S, occupation. So let's go option by option. P, is clustering dependent on distance between cities? Yes. Yes. So just to go back to the definition, clustering of ULBs. So what do we mean by clustering? So if you have multiple cities and you want to install a facility, like for instance, uh, treatment, sewage treatment facility. So this requires a huge amount of investment. So rather than having a treatment facility for each city, if we say that yeah, this is the border of the city, so we can put a facility over here. All the sewage from this region and this region can be brought to this facility. So you're clustering different regions together in order to share a facility. So, or a resource. So, this was one example. So, that's what they've defined first. They've defined what clustering is, and then they've asked what is the criteria, what are the factors that clustering depends upon. So, definitely distance between cities are important in order to cluster. Then, Q, per capita waste generation, is that important? Yes, it is important because exactly, because based on that, you need to plan the capacity of this facility also, whether clustering is possible, feasible. So, for instance, sometimes if this city is generating a lot of waste by itself, then maybe rather than joining the cluster, they can have a separate facility and these two can cluster because if the capacity is of this one cannot meet. So, capacity is important. Similarly, comes waste generated by cities. That's also important. Yes, because it's the same reason, continuing reason. The S, occupation. Is that important? So yeah, so directly occupation is not important because for clustering you need not know. Eventually, indirectly we can say that based on changes in occupation of the people over there, the waste generated or based on their living condition, the waste generated would be different. But that we're not considering over here because we're anyway taking what is a per capita waste generation and waste generated by cities. So usually in the criteria or the parameters that are usually looked at while looking whether clustering is feasible, we look at the total waste generated or per capita waste generated. So then all the occupation, socio-economic characteristics of the people, the conditions of the region, all these are the environmental conditions of the region, all these are not considered. So that's not important. So that works out to option PQRC, right? Option C, PQR. Yes. Now let's go to the next question. Question 13. Kabaddi system is the involvement of Dash in the sorting and recycling state of SWM. A. NGOs, B. Private companies, C. Scrap dealers, and D. Waste managers. Any guesses? Very good, very good. Scrap dealers, that's the answer. So, this very briefly we have discussed in our lectures also. So, in India, there are a lot of scrap dealers whose way of income or whose livelihood is dependent upon taking the scrap and then selling it out in different places. So it's a very common scene in India. So when the solid waste management strategies started coming up, and when rules and regulations were formed for this, it was important to consider these dealers also, so that their livelihood does not get disturbed because of the new system which is coming. Because if you have a centralized system or a decentralized system for that matter, it's a door to door collection. From the household, we are collecting the waste, it's going into a temporary site, stored there for some time, and then it's going on for recycling, reuse, recycling, composting, or for landfill. So all the segregation happens, and then it goes. So which means these people are not getting access to these uh, to collect waste. So Kabaddi system brings in these people also, and they're employed in order to sort. And so in the sorting stage, they're employed by the government itself, so that they're they can continue their livelihood based on this. So it becomes, so which was something which was an informal job before, it's been formalized under the Kabaddi system. So that's a question 13. So yeah, so the answer is C, scrap dealers. Let's proceed on to the next question. Question 14. Which of the following aspects constitute the totally sanitized cities? A, municipal sewage and stormwater drainage. B, recycling and reuse of treated sewage for non-potable applications. C, solid waste management. D, improved public health outcomes and environmental standards. So let's go by option first one, municipal sewage and stormwater drainage. Is that important in total sanitized cities? Yes, it's important. So we discussed, yeah, yes, it's important. So we discussed about the national sanitation policy in our first question. So this comes under that, where the different levels of totally sanitized cities, the different levels. So we are mainly talking about totally sanitized cities. So a city can be sanitized only if you have a proper sewage system and a stormwater drainage system. So yes, so this is important. And B, recycling and reuse of treated sewage for non-potable applications. Yes, so by non-potable, we are talking about non-drinking purposes. So for everything else, it's starting from irrigation to running in fact for factories and all other purposes we can use. So it's recycling and reusing. That's also important in totally sanitized cities. C, solid waste management. Yes, that is also important. D, improve public health outcomes and environmental standards. Yes, so all of them, option A, all of them are part of totally sanitized cities. Right. Let's go. Yes, Shweta, yeah, you've said it correctly. Yeah. So just to add on, there are other elements also which are part of totally sanitized cities. Like for instance, open defecation free, we discussed in the first question itself. Then comes no manual scavenging, and you need safety equipment for all the sanitation workers. So this also comes under that. Then this we discussed. Services to the poor also comes improve public health. Yeah, this we discussed. So apart from that, three other parameters are also given in totally sanitized cities. Let's go to the next question. All Indian cities and towns become totally sanitized, healthy, and livable, and ensure and sustain good public health and environmental outcomes for all their citizens, with a special focus on hygiene and affordable sanitation facilities for the urban poor and women. Is the vision statement of which of the following? MSW, Management and Handling Rules, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, Urban Sanitation Policy, Swachh Bharat Mission. National Urban Sanitation Policy 2008. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that is National Urban Sanitation Policy 2008. So we've discussed this in our lecture also, and in the first question also we discussed briefly about this. So what are the other things? What is MSW, Management and Handling Rule? What do they talk about? So it's the solid waste municipal. Yes, yes, Shweta. Yes. Yes, there was an amendment there. So mainly, what do that rule look into? Yes, yes, very good. So it also gave this urban local body the power, like power in the sense the responsibility was bestowed upon urban local bodies in order to set up this solid waste management methods within the region. So that's what the management and handling rules of 2000 mainly focuses on. And what is this Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission? Yes, urban, yeah, it's an urban renewal. So yeah, exactly, correct word. City modernization. That's the perfect word that's there. So in order to improve the overall livability of the city, so it's a urban renewal mission. And yes, then national, and then you have the Swachh Bharat mission. What is what Swachh Bharat mission? Yeah, so that's something which we're still part of right now, which came. Yeah, it's a cleanliness drive, which is very good. Right, so let's go to the next question. Question 16. Match the items in column A with the appropriate items in column B and choose the correct option. So it's different rules and what do they stand for? So column A, P, Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rule 2016. Q, Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act and its amendments of 1974, and R, Environment Protection Act. So the matching options are one, prevent and control water pollution and ensure wholesomeness of water. So we can easily mark this now. One, which was one. A. So somebody says answer is A. Okay, let's go this one. I'll just read it. Two is protection and improvement of the environment, and three, handling of waste resulting from construction, remodeling, repair, and demolition. So P is three because it's construction, demolition, remodeling, and repair. Everybody with me in that. P is three. And Q is water prevention. So Q is one because prevention and control of water and pollution. And R is protection and improvement of environment. So it's directly there from the term. So this is not a very difficult question, but if something very similar was given as option, then it might have been a bit difficult. So that works out to P3 Q1. So that's option B, is it? Yeah, so that's option B. I think somebody said option A, so might have confused with Q and R. So yeah, it's option B. Q is one. Yeah, option B is the answer. Right. So let's proceed on to the next question. Question 17. According to SWM Rules 2016, the non-biodegradable, non-recyclable, non-reusable, non-hazardous solid waste having minimum calorific value exceeding 1500 K and excluding fluorinated materials are categorized under what? Yeah, so we discussed this uh, before, like in a similar question. So if you observe, uh, oh, one sec. I think this is question 17, right? Something was wrong with the options which I put. Uh, yeah, so it is domestic hazard. So we discussed in our previous one about domestic hazardous waste. So yeah, so the best answer which is there over here would be domestic hazardous, but there should have been combustible waste also. So the answer to this question is actually combustible waste. So I think there's something wrong with this, the options which I put. I'm sorry. So mainly non-biodegradable, non-reusable, because it said it's non-hazardous. So because it's non-hazardous, the options, I think it came from a different question. I'm sorry about that. So it's supposed to be non-hazardous, which means it's not the domestic hazardous because you're talking about non-hazardous solid waste having minimum calor excluding chlorinated material. So it's actually combustible waste. So don't look at the options. It's combustible waste. Something happened to the options. So yeah, this comes under combustible waste. Right. Uh, let's go to the next. Oh, yeah. So I think the last option, yeah, this should have been combustible waste. I think inerts were put over here. Yeah, so it's combustible waste is the answer for that. It's not inerts. Non-hazard, correct. Yeah, Shweta. Dry waste, non-hazardous is written in question, but it's not dry waste. It's combustible waste. That was not there in the option in the previous one. I missed it when I made put that question. So yeah, it's combustible waste. Right, moving on to the, yeah, so over here I put the details. So combustible waste is non-hazardous, non-biodegradable, non-hazardous, Domestic hazardous waste, this is what we discussed in the first one, where discarded paint drums, used needles. So, as discussed, somebody said it's chemical, but it need not be only chemicals also, but all these can also come under that. Then we have dry waste. So, as Shweta was saying, dry waste is again waste other than biodegradable waste, so which includes recyclables. But over here, we had mentioned that recyclables are not part of it. So that's the difference. So it is includes recyclable, so it's dry waste, and inerts are recyclable or combustible. Okay, right. So this one, now I understand what happened was, so it can be inerts are also right answer for this. So the question here, if inerts were put, inerts are also right because combustible waste comes under inerts again. So combustible waste is the right term to be used, but alternatively we can use inerts also because the combustible street. So I mean, if such a question was given, then oh no, no, sorry, let me not confuse you further. My bad. Question itself went wrong. Not keeping quite well. So yeah, this is not. It's not. It's combustible only. That was. It has to be combustible itself. I got confused when I saw this. No, inerts are not the right answer. Just clarifying it. Yeah. So sorry for that confusion. Let's take this off. Any doubts? Shall we move on to the next question or any more clarification? No. Okay. Let's proceed on to the next question. Yeah. So yeah. So combustible waste is the answer for this one. Problem 18. Okay. Problem 18. Dash is a facility created to receive solid waste from collection areas and transport in bulk in covered vehicles or containers to waste processing or disposal facilities. Yeah, so it's a it's a facility created to receive solid waste from the collection and transport in bulk. So it's an intermediary area that we are talking about. So option A, transfer station; B, material recovery facility; C, disposal site; and D, decentralized processing site. A transfer station. Yeah, very good. So it is a transfer station because you're receiving it and then you're giving out into the disposal side. Yeah. So the details for other things. So it's if saw the other options to discuss other options. So if it's a facility, that's where all the segregation, recovery, storage, collection, everything happens. Transfer station was where we receive and then it's transported in bulk. So it's an intermediary station. Then the recovering facility is a facility where you have the non-compostable solid waste, which is temporarily stored for. So it's a recovery stage. It's temporarily stored. Then you have decentralized processing, which we already discussed in one of the previous questions. So it's dispersed facilities which are there in different regions for processing. Then we have disposal, which is a final place where everything is disposed. So let's move on to the next question. Co-processing is the use of dash and dash solid waste having calorific value. So this is a very similar question which we saw before, but it's given in a different form. So I included this question also. So yeah, so co-processing is the use of dash and dash solid waste having calorific value exceeding 1500 calories as raw material for energy source. Is it okay? So somebody says it's non-biodegradable and recyclable. Somebody says it's non-biodegradable and non-recyclable. Which one? Option A or D? D, yeah. So we discussed this. It's non-biodegradable and non-recyclable. If it's recyclable, we can use it for recycling. For as a raw material for source of energy, we use non-degradable and non-recyclable waste. Yeah. So okay, so it's good. The question, even if it's come in a repeated form, there's some confusion, which means we need to be careful. So yeah. So, question 20. The below mentioned duties provide flexibility in fertilizer control order for sale of compost, promote compost use for farms, laboratories for testing compost quality, and guidelines for compost quality and use comes under which of the following? A. Ministry of Urban Development, B. Ministry of Rural Development, C. Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, D. Ministry of Agriculture. Yes, so we are talking somebody says C, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Somebody says Ministry of Agriculture. So we had a very similar question before where we discussed that all the laboratory testing, yes, all these come under Ministry of Agriculture. So for all this flexibility and fertilizer control And sale of compost also comes for the sale. The sale of compost also comes under Ministry of Agriculture. Just give me a second. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not keeping quite well today. So yeah. So that also comes under Ministry of Agriculture. So that's the answer. Option D is the answer. Right. Let's proceed. Yeah. So here different duties of different agencies have put. So Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, they are mainly in charge of promotion of co-marketing of compost with chemical fertilizers, and they can assist, like they market development assistance for city compost, they can do that. But for the main one, that is fertilizer control, sale of compost, everything comes under the Ministry of Agriculture only. And yeah, so guidelines are also formed by Ministry of Agriculture. Right. So let's proceed on to the next question. The long-term plans concerning MSWM constitutes dash planning period. 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, 20 to 25 years. Somebody says C, 20 to 25 years. Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, so we are talking about long-term planning. So if it is long term is usually 20 to 25 years, and short term usually 5 years. So this is short, no. Uh, yeah, up to 5 years only, not 5 to 10 years. 5 years is a short term. Then we have review terms also, which is 2 to 3 years, even shorter. So when we were discussing development plans in module one, we were discussing about this, that there needs to be a good review which happens every 2 to 3 years in order to see whether the development plan is happening as per the schedule. So like that, we have review short-term plans also, which is done every 2 to 3 years. Let's proceed on to the next question. Dash. Dash involves the energy recovery via production of heat, electricity, or fuel from segregated dry rejects. A. Composting. B. Waste to energy. And D. C. Waste disposal. So this we have discussed already. Yeah. So yeah, it is waste to energy. We have discussed this already because production of heat, electricity, fuel from segregated dry rejects is waste to energy. And composting is when we use, what do you say? We've discussed this. What was composting? Just to, correct, yeah. When you're using it for agriculture purposes, for fertilizers, yeah, converting it into fertilizers, yeah, that is composting. Then waste disposal, we discussed landfills and all are comes under waste disposal. So it's a same question put in a different form. Question 23. Identify the true statements concerning waste to energy plants. A. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources is responsible for facilitating infrastructure creation from. Uh, did we discuss this question? I mean, a similar question. Yeah, we discussed. It's the same question, so I think I'll just skip that. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, question 24. Which of the following aspects come under MSWM planning? A. Physical service design. B. Institutional capacity building. C. Technical capacity building. And D. Legal framework and mechanism for enforcement. Planning. Yeah. So physical service design, MSWM is in charge of physical service design. Yes. Yes, so by physical service, we are talking about all the facilities which need to be the infrastructure or the facilities which needs to be put in. So yes, physical service design is part of MSWM planning. Then B, institutional capacity building. Yeah, that's mainly where you have all the facilities, everything coming in. So that also MSWM is responsible. Technical capacity building, yes. What method are you using? What are you incinerating it? Are you what technology are we using it in order to convert the waste? That's also important. So yeah, technical capacity building is also part of MSWM planning. Legal framework and mechanism for enforcement. Is that part? Yes, no? Legal framework is part or not? Okay, anybody, any difference of opinion? Mhm. So it is part actually, because when you're planning, you need to see the legal framework and mechanism of enforcing it. So by legal framework, we are talking about all the statutory norms. Are they being followed? Is the how do we enforce the mechanism? How so you're planning the whole system out. So in the overall planning, yes, the legal framework, the rights of people, all that are also taken into consideration. So all four are there, which means D, A, B, C, D is the answer. Right. No, but yes, Shweta, legal framework is important. That is also part of this MSWM planning. Right. So let's go on to the next question. Yeah, so this is what we learned in the lecture. So in addition to physical service design, the other parts are like institutional capacity, so legal framework, public grievance, financial capacity, technical capacity. So yeah, even the human resource development is also part of MSWM planning. Right, let's go to the next question. Guidelines or extended producers' responsibility on plastic packaging is given under A. Plastic waste management rules. B. Biomedical management rules. E. Waste management rules. And D. Construction and demolition waste management rules. So, yeah, so this is there from the question itself where we are talking about plastic packing. So, yes, the answer is, as put in the chat box, the answer is A. Plastic waste management rules. So, what are the other responsibilities which comes under this plastic waste management rule? Any so mainly it becomes the producers or the person who's selling this product, the packaging that they are using. It's a responsibility of this seller to ensure that this does not harm the environment. So yes, exactly. It should be biodegradable. So we are mainly talk so since this is plastic, the whole recycling, so strategies by which this plastic is either collected back or how does it how so the seller is responsible of planning this thing out, or how will it be. So yeah, so plastic by default, yeah, biodegradable plastics are also coming in, but other, even if it is not a biodegradable plastic, then what is the mechanism by which they are ensuring that this is not polluting the environment. So some companies have the strategy of where you can give the plastic bottles back, like for instance, all these aerated drinks, there's actually a policy that if you're asking for a refill in the same can which you purchased before, you should get it at a subsidized rate. So such kind of policies are to take such kind of policies, this plastic management rules are there. Yeah, so that's it. So it's the responsibility of the producer that beyond consumption also when waste is disposed, how is it disposed? So that becomes the responsibility of the producer. So that came in this rule which we discussed before. And yeah, so these are the different important factors in important notes in that. Yeah. So somebody says reduce, recycling, recollect, and pay. Yes, so yes, exactly. That comes under this one. So yes, let's go to the next question. Yeah, so the number is wrong, so don't worry. Which of the following statements are true concerning decentralized waste management? A, it increases large volume of MSW at centralized location. B, reduces transportation cost. And C, increases intermediate storage cost significantly. And D, customizable as per local context. So A, it increases large volumes of MSW at centralized location. Is that a correct statement? So we are talking about exactly, exactly. So we're talking about decentralized. So this is about centralized location. So if this had been centralized, then this is a correct statement. But since you're talking about decentralized, this is a wrong statement. It does not increase the volume at a central location. B, reduces transportation cost. Is that a right statement? Yeah, because it's decentralized. So you're having it different regions. So it is decentralized. So yes, that is a right statement. Then this one increases intermediate storage cost significantly. Is that a right statement? Yeah, because it's already decentralized, so you do need to store it in different places. So that is not a right statement. Customizable as per local context. That's a right. Yeah, that's a right statement because you can have intermediate stations as per. So that works out to B and D. So option B and D is the answer. Right, yeah. Yeah, so some of the other advantages of decentralized system is that we can have a community level based management system. So you're decentralizing it based on communities. So this is the opposite of what we discussed, reduces large volumes. So it's reduces, it's not increases. Then reduces transportation, which we learned. Customizable allows low level of mechanization and low investment because you don't need high capacity. It's low investment, but you need multiple regions. So that is, so we'll have to do a weigh-in on whether a centralized facility is better or a decentralized facility is better in terms of investment. Now, job opportunities for local and informal workers. So this is one advantage which is there, and that's where the Kabaddi system also comes in, where in these intermediate segregation regions, local people can go and be part of the waste management, formally be part of the waste management system. So, but the disadvantages are that it may result in unhygienic conditions because, as discussed, if it's a landfill site, we discussed it has to be away from the people regions where people are residing. So when you have intermediate systems, you can't always keep them very much aside, right? So it can lead to unhygienic conditions also if it's not well maintained. Then land availability, yeah, that's the main problem. Like it might be limited, and yeah, so due to this non-availability of space and workforce, several other issues, technical processes may be difficult. Then the same thing at small scale, certain projects may not be economically viable. So you'll have to take only those. You'll have to take them to a central facility. So some segregation, so like that, it needs to be planned out that way. And yeah, so based on the same thing, because of this lack of economic viability, the quality of the end product may also not be very good. So yeah, so that's about decentralized waste management systems. Now let's go to the next question. Match the items in column A with the most appropriate items in column B and choose the correct option. A, front end, so we are talking about different costs. So front end cost, back end cost, and environmental cost. So B, site closure, cost involved in mitigating adverse effect on environment, and three is land acquisition. So first one, site front end cost is land acquisition a front end cost? Yeah, land acquisition is a front end cost. Then back end cost would be cost involved. No, back end cost. No, back end cost is site closure because when so by what do you mean by front end means you're preparing the site for uh, whatever, yeah, for development of that facility. Yeah, acquiring, yeah, land acquisition, yeah, other preparation, all the statute norms. So all that the project proposal, all that comes as a front end cost. And back end is when you're shutting it down, like you're shutting the facility down. So site closure is a back end cost, and environmental cost is the cost involved in mitigating the adverse effects of the environment. So just to give you more details, these are the different uh, front end costs. So acquisition, apart from that, all the permits, so all the statutory permits which you're taking, so all the cost involved in all those comes under the front end cost. Then the IEC activities, so this we discussed before, all the campaigns and activities, all that. Then construction is also considered as a front end cost because it's the building, and the capital cost comes in all the machinery, plants, and everything. So this is the you're preparing the facility, so that comes as a front end cost. Then capital cost we know. Apart from that, we also have contingent cost, which is so by contingent we mean something which is kept as reserve to be used for an emergency situation or some reserve. So that comes all the remediation cost liability cost or any property damage or any problems are happening. So for that, we have contingent cost. Then, of course, we have the operating cost, which is used to run. And yeah, so if you observe, the IAC activities come in operation cost also because it runs throughout, like as a front end cost and as an operating cost also will be needed. The level of activity which is done would be different in different cases. That's the difference. Then comes your back end cost. That's when everything is so the site closure or decommissioning, then retirement of employees. So all that comes under back end cost. So then apart from all these, so this is a sequential cost. So apart from that, which can come are the environmental cost and social cost. So environmental cost, all this because of certain adverse environmental effects, what the investment that needs to be put in. Social cost is uh, for some modifications which we have done in order to improve the overall uh, conditions in that region or livability of a region or the aesthetics of the region or the community well-being. So for that, whatever cost is being involved in this facility to improve the facility a bit more so that the social conditions of the region improves, that comes under the social cost. Right. So we're moving on to the next question, question 28. Which of the following statement holds true concerning tax fixation concerning MSWM revenue generation? So A, polluter should pay, B, fee should be proportional to the quantity of waste, and C, fee should be proportional to the level of service, and D, variable rate for different waste generators. So first one, A, polluter should pay. Is that part of tax fixation? Okay, somebody says B. Is that for this? No, not this. Okay. Yeah, so polluter should pay is there. Yes, that's the whole idea of tax fixation because it's people who are polluting and you need to pay. The polluter is the one who is supposed to be paying for this. And fee should be proportional to the quantity of waste. Is that a right statement? Yes, that's also a right statement. So in that, so how do we separate is mainly the residential pollution would be less compared to a commercial polluter. So based on the category. So for instance, yeah, if it's a commercial establishment, then the tax for solid waste management, which is given, is much higher than the uh, from a residential community. That's how the quantity is being taken into consideration. Within each residence, maybe there's no segregation as this person is giving more waste and this person is giving less waste. But because that difference might not be very significant in order to do a segregation that way. But then based on bulk generators and non-bulk generators are separated differently. So yes, fee is proportional to the quantity of waste, and C, fees should be proportional to the level of service. Yes, that's also true. To the level of service which is provided, is it a door-to-door collection system which is there, or do people go and give it at a community facility? Is it a decentralized facility? Is it a centralized facility? What technology is being used? What is the convenience of people using it? So based on the level of service, this piece is proportional. Yes, that's also true. Then D, variable rate for different waste generators. Yeah, so that's again proportional to the quantity of waste. So yes, variable waste for different waste generators. It's a same statement given in a different form. So is it all of the answers? Yeah, D, all of them. Right. Any doubts in this question? Shall we proceed further? Yeah. So we can proceed to the next question. Yeah. So these are some of the aspects which were there in the this one. Yeah. Variable rate for different waste generators, households, commercial institutions, bulk waste generators. It's all different and proportional to the quantity of waste and level of service and their capacity to pay. And that is also, so we have learned methods of looking into the willingness of pay. So while looking into willingness of pay, we also look into their capacity of pay. So the facilities are provided based on the capacity of people to pay for the service, and a fair charge is given. And if not, then a subsidies can also be introduced. Right. So that 28 questions. That's all I wanted to discuss today. Because this entire module was a lot of theory and a lot of rules. So I think I've put in a lot of questions from like in different forms. With this, I'm sure you'll be able to answer the assignments easily. Is there any doubts?
Has to show the
Yeah, yeah, okay. Let me just go back. Yeah, this one, right? Yeah, yeah. So what's your doubt? Correct, 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 correct. Yeah, yeah. So that's what. So most of, correct. Yes, it involves that. So that's what. If you observe, most of the questions which we're discussing here would be kind of related to the assignment questions also. It's similar questions so that you get an idea about how to solve the assignment questions. Yes, so is there any other doubt? Anybody? Yeah. Huh. Okay. Is this an assignment question? Okay. Okay. What's your doubt in the question? Yes, that's a question. Ah. Yeah, because in that they've asked about the technical which requires maximum technical skill and uh, maximum technical skill, right? If I'm right. Yeah, so that won't come over here. So here we are mainly talking about the different costs which are involved. Now skills and that comes separately. So that you won't find the answer to that in this one. Yeah, so you might have to revisit the lectures once more. It's there in the lectures, don't worry, it's there. Yeah, in the video it's been discussed, and in the slides also you might find, maybe it's an image, so a word search might not help, but if you can just go through all the chapter in which we discuss the costs, you might be able to find. So probably that's the last one, last lecture 15, right? Yeah, that's where we are talking about different cost. That's from where this one is. But the service types, yeah, you might have to revisit which lecture exactly, even I'm not being able to tell you, but it is there. It is there. Don't worry. Yeah. Oh, so you're asking about the exam question. Uh, you're asking numericals, is it? Correct, correct. Understood. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, so that would be less than 20 because this assignment doesn't have a lot of this course in general doesn't have a lot of numericals. So we might not, so that's again done by a different team. I'm not involved in that. But from what I know, uh, it's not necessary that 20 percentage of the questions need to be numericals. So since this entire course has a lot of theory, the numerical questions might be a bit limited. It need not be 20%. So it maximum 20%, it's definitely not going to go more than 20%. So that at this stage, I'm not able to say that because I'm not involved in the team who sets the question paper. That's done by an entirely different team. So because I'm involved in all the tutorials and questions, so that's why I'm putting maximum questions on what may come for the exam. So that's done by an entirely different team. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that's available in the portal. So if you look at the left-hand side of the portal where all the videos are there, uh, bottom you will see tutorial sessions or live sessions, something like that would be written. So that will lead you to an Excel, and in that Excel for every week, whatever I'm sharing, that's made available in a drive. So the link of the drive is given, so you can just go there and see, and the video will, a YouTube link of the video will also be available there. Right. It is problem solving session, yeah. So it's written as problem solving session. Yes, so someone's given you the link of, I think, previous problem solving session, YouTube. But if there's an Excel sheet, the link to that, you will have everything in that Excel sheet. Yep. Right. Any more doubts, anyone? Okay. So if we don't have any doubts, maybe we can call it a day and end. Yeah, so 28 questions we discussed, so that's good. So our session is for 2 hours, but if you finish discussing all the questions, we can always leave early. Yeah, so I'll be there online till 9. If anybody has any doubts, you can join and ask. Might keep my video shut, but otherwise, whatever we wanted to discuss is done. I hope next week will be a bit more interesting. This week, I was also not well, so maybe I couldn't make it much interesting also. But apart from that, it was a lot of theory. So, but next week, so we'll have some numericals also, so that might be more interactive and interesting. So, right. Yeah. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining. Have a good night. Yeah.
ये आपका एंड्रॉइड का वर्जन 7.0 का ऊपर है ना?
मैं एक बार चेक करूँ.
एंड्रॉइड वर्जन पूछ रहे हो क्या?
हाँ, क्योंकि जो ऐप अपलोड हुआ है वो 7.0 का ऊपर का है।
ये 14 है एंड्रॉइड वर्जन। एक और कैसे चेक करूँ? ये है ना? पुराना वाला फोन में नहीं चल रही, ये बोल रहे हैं। ठीक है आई वो दिस कूपन कोड
फिर से कूपन को
हाँ पता नहीं
कैसे हो सकता
एक दिन के लिए है ना एक कूपन
है?
कोड
हाँ तो ये भी बताना पड़ेगा एक दिन का कूपन कोड कैसे
ठीक है
Oh, you had already told. Okay. I just noticed it now.
হ্যাঁ বলো না বেরোচ্ছে ঠিক আছে কি হচ্ছে ভাই হ্যাঁ একটু কাজটা আগিয়ে দিলাম একটা কালকে এসে কাজ আছে ঠিক আছে বেরিয়ে যাচ্ছে হয়ে যাচ্ছে
You stayed so late. So this Hemant is the person who does the
हाँ और भी एक है वरुण बोल के